this box. I have not opened the box with my Selgie albums in it yet, so I told you guys that I was going to wait until I got the albums to review the album, and I finally got them in the mail. They didn't take that long to get to me, honestly. Like, it took a week, which that's not bad for me. I'm not mad at that. It was FedEx this time. I got these from Catch Up CD. I like Catch Up CD as a vendor. I've noticed that they have a folded poster option. So when I did my review last time, I said that they should offer a folded poster option. I didn't opt for that when I ordered mine. However, I think that's something that a lot of you could really use if you're interested. I didn't really care for the posters for this album, so I didn't get them. But yeah, I think if you really like the art for this, absolutely get the folded poster. So I'm going to start by opening this up. And for those of you who don't know, there were 6 versions of this mini album. 6. There was one like jewel encrusted case, not a regular jewel case, but like a cube. And then there was 2 photo book versions of this album. And then there were 3 slipcase versions of this album. Oh, and I think there may have been a Kino. I think, I'm not sure, but I didn't get it. So I can't tell you anything about the Kino. But yeah, this album, there were a lot of versions of this album. And I think that that's maybe a bad sign. Let me tell you why I think that. So one of the things I read, and I kind of agree with it, is that the reason why so many K-pop albums have a whole bunch of copies is to bump up the sales numbers, right? And I feel like Wendy, Joy did not have as many copies of their album because there weren't big expectations for sales for both of them. And also, I think they felt like Wendy being known as the main vocal for Red Velvet and Joy being known as the main visual for Red Velvet, they would sell based on that aspect. Now, I can't tell you what Seulgi's reputation is in Korea because I honestly do not know. But I have the feeling that maybe she's not as popular in Korea as she is with international fans. And so they figured we're going to make the bulk of our money charting everything else through physical sales. And so that's the reason why they opted for so many copies. I think that's the reason why Key had so many copies of his albums. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versions of Bad Love, and there were 1, 2, 3, 4 versions of this last album, Gasoline. So yeah, I'm thinking that maybe the reason why we have so many versions of this album is because they weren't having high hopes for this album, and I have theories as to why there were not high hopes, but I'm not gonna say anything. Let's just look and see what we got. Okay, all right. Oh, these look way different than I thought they would. Wow. Okay, so I didn't watch any unboxings for this album prior to doing this review. So I knew they had slipcase versions and they were calling them special versions. Look at them. Look how freaking tiny they are. Do these have CDs in them? I mean, I'm serious. Like, do these have CDs? They look too small to have CDs in them. When you put them all together, it looks like the side of a house. And yeah, when you put them all together, it looks like the side of a house. And then they each have different backs to them. And yeah, they're the size of like a little heavy novel. Okay, that's interesting. Um, she looks gorgeous. I will say Sulky looks gorgeous in here. Um, Beautiful. But yeah, I don't know what this is. This feels like there's no CD in here. This feels like this might be like 3 different Kinos. That might be what this is. Wow. Wow. Okay. Different. Don't know how I feel about that. I'm gonna go ahead and open one of these just because I want to see if there's an actual CD in here because, like I said, it doesn't look like there's a CD in here, and that is concerning. But yeah, it's a slipcase. It's a slipcase, so I should be able to get this out of here fairly easy, hopefully. Shit, this thing is tight. Oh my gosh. Ah, there we go. Got it. Yeah, there's no CD in here. There is. Oh my gosh. It's the baby CD. This is the exact same size of CD as they used for the last Red Velvet project when it came in the little music boxes. And then we've got the cover that comes off and you can see all the binding on the inside. Boy, this is ugly. This is an ugly design choice. The pictures are pretty. Oh, it's got a combination of Solgi's pictures plus some of her artwork in here, and it looks like the back of the photo card is her artwork, and then her in the front. And there's two photo cards in here. Here's the other one. That is a gorgeous photo card. It actually, hi. Funny enough, does this not look like this photo card should be in the gray version or is it gray? The gray version of Blackpink's album. Doesn't she look like a fifth member of Blackpink? Am I the only one thinking that? Like, to me, fifth member. But I digress. Yeah, okay. So they're all little mini CDs. I don't know if I like that, guys. I don't know if I like that. I'm not going to open the other two on camera because it would just take too much time. But yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this format. I think this format is ugly. Back when I had a car that had a CD player, those CDs were impossible for me to use because I had the kind where you have to press the CD into the slot and the slot didn't come out, like the tray didn't come out. And yeah, they were nigh on impossible to play. And then there's this jewel case kind of capsule here. It looks like mine is broken because my CD is just floating in midair. But this matches with Joy, this matches with Windy, this matches with the Sulgi Irene subunit. So this is just the same packaging as all of them, basically, size-wise. So if you put it on your shelf, it should be the same size. And then we have this, which are two large books here. This is the same kind of book that we had for Shiny, Taemin. SM does these big books, and I thought it was two different books, but it looks like it might just be one book, and I was thinking that it was two different books, so I got an extra copy. Depending what photo cards look like, I might be getting rid of an extra copy. So yeah, that is what I'm going to say about the packaging. You know, I don't really flip through photo books like I used to. Now let's talk about the album. So for those of you who don't know, Red Velvet is my current biased girl group of like not disbanded. And I had really high hopes for Sulgi with her debut solo because Sulgi is my favorite member of Red Velvet. I don't think it's a secret. Everybody should know Sulgi is my favorite member of Red Velvet. I saw Red Velvet live in concert in 2019. They weren't on their own personal tour. I've told the story multiple times about how I went to the Korean Times Music Festival. And me and Mason went to that together, and Red Velvet was one of the acts. It was during the Bad Boy era of things, so it was nice. It was Peekaboo. That was the single at the time, I believe. But anyway, Sulgi was the most dynamic performer out of all of Red Velvet. Like, she immediately got all of your attention, and I knew from then on, like, this is the bias. This is that girl. And I bought the Sulgi Irene subunit. I liked it for the most part. I still think Naughty is a highly underrated comeback song. Like, it should have been the title track, not Monster, in my opinion. But yeah, hearing that Sulgi was gonna get a solo debut, I was hyper, super duper excited. I could not wait. I wanted all the best things for our girl. And TLDR, this was a very disappointing debut. Now, I will say this, debuts are always hinky. They're always hinky. A lot of times, the sound that an artist debuts with is not the sound they're going to end up with later on. A great example of that would be Taemin. If you listen to the song "Danger" by Taemin, it has a lot of the darker undertones that he would use later on in his career. But I think he went in a much more dramatic direction than what you have on "Danger." And when you look at the B sides of the Ace debut album, you'll see that like Ace and a lot of the other songs on that album are totally not the style that Taman currently tracks in. So I feel like Sulgi absolutely has options to grow. But I also feel like there is an agenda attached with this album, and I think it is severely handicapped Sulgi. And you may not agree with me, so let me just give you a track by track rundown of how I feel about this debut. So let's start with the title track, 28 Reasons. Um, these are the notes I have. I said the heartbeat intro to this song was thrilling in the teasers, and it's true that kind of ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum. That sound, I remember thinking, wow, this sounds like this is going to be dark and sexy and fun, and I was really excited for it. And as the song started and she started with that very kind of deeper voice, I'm kissed your brother. I was like, ooh, this is gonna be smoky. This is gonna be nice. By the end of the song, I was not thrilled. My biggest note here is this is a TVXQ song. This is a TVXQ song. I'm so sorry. Um, I can hear Chungmin singing on the chorus. I could hear Yuno singing in the bridge. Like I feel like that was a Chungmin high note at the very end of the song. It was very, very TVXQ. Um, and I think that one thing that this song does that I was not very excited about, I've always felt like Solgi had a beautiful voice. When you listen to her in Kingdom Come, when you listen to her on Bad Boy, when you listen to her on a lot of the Velvet side of songs, you can tell that she has a really nice voice. But because this song is kind of formatted like a TVXQ song, in my opinion, I feel like she's almost shrill in trying to elevate her voice to the ad libs and keep that much higher tone. And it's unpleasant. Honestly, it's unpleasant. This is a title track that I don't feel myself going back to very frequently at all. And I would say that this title track is really SM's showing their age. Like, this is a song that when you hear it, you're like, oh, this sounds like SM 5 years ago. This sounds like SM 6 years ago. There's nothing about this song that is in any way in the same direction as current trends. It's not even in the same direction as current SM artists. Like when you listen to NCT and aespa, this song does not sound like anything you would ever hear on any of those albums. Not saying that she should be doing what they do, but I think that they've tried to kind of go in a more youthful direction with those acts. But with Sulgi, they've given her something that to me sounds very dated and feels very old. And I'm surprised that this is the title track for the album. Not that I feel like there's many options on this mini album, but yeah, this is an interesting choice for a title track. Now let's go to the next song, Dead Man Walking. So Sogi wrote the lyrics to this, and from what I've read, she said it was from the kind of like a villain origin story type of thing. Like this is the villain stating their mission statement and stating why it is they're turning to villainy. And so you're supposed to feel that creeping dread in this song and like, ooh, something bad is going to happen. Beware because someone's about to get their revenge. And I mean, I feel that it definitely has a darker tone to it. But this song still feels very old fashioned. It feels very much like a continuation of 28 Reasons. It feels very much like an older SM song. It's a song that I don't think it does anything for Sulgi. Vocally, I don't think it does anything for her. In terms of artistic merits, I don't think it does anything for her. This is a song that definitely to me feels like it should have been on the Solgi Irene subunit album, because if you put this right next to Monster, it fits perfectly. I couldn't see this on a Red Velvet album at all. But this also doesn't even really sound like a solo artist song. This song really does sound like a song made for a K-pop group. And that's unfortunate. Also, fun fact, one of the songwriters on this song is the great great niece of Judy Garland. Random, right? It's true. But yeah, I just think that this song doesn't have as much impact as maybe Sylvie was hoping it would have. Like by itself, it probably is very impactful. I imagine this is a great stage song, like doing the stages for this song is probably really good. Same with the stages for 28 Reasons. But I don't feel like this song is necessarily a standout song. It's absolutely a B-side. Next, we have Bad Boy, Sad Girl. I really like this song. Um, it's breezy, it's a little K indie, it's a little K R&B-ish. But again, this is a song that sounds a little bit older. Maybe it's just me, but this sounds like a song that could have come out 3 years ago to me. But there is a certain sound that Korea has when it comes to K indie stuff that I feel like this song definitely feeds into that. There's songs that have been done by other K-pop artists when they want to get a little bit more R&B-ish, because usually K-pop never veers into very heavy R&B tones. But something like this is a great little summertime song. This is something really cute, and I think she sounds great on it. The rapper on it, Bo, he sounds really good. I was like, I don't know who this is, but he sounds really nice. And I was listening to him thinking, it would be nice if SM had rappers on their label who sounded like this. Like, if I wasn't constantly being shouted at by different rappers in NCT, that would be a really nice feeling to have. And also, Ryan June helped write this song, which Ryan June, if you look him up on Wikipedia, that man has got songwriting credits. I listed a few of them here just for your point of reference. Something New by Taeyeon, What a Man, Good Man by IOI, Baby Don't Stop by NCT, Sexuality by Taemin, Dum Dum by Red Velvet, Deja Vu by FX. Like, this man is a writing machine. And so I imagine this is probably also a song that SM has had for a while. Next, we have Anywhere But Home. Anywhere But Home is another kind of breezy, light pop track. I think that definitely Bad Boy Sad Girl is more on the R&B side of things, whereas Anywhere But Home to me is more on the pop side of things. It has a kind of escapist theme to it. It has a very melancholy soundscape to it. It's really nice. I think that on this song, it has the best pocket for Solgi's voice. Like, when you listen to this version of Solgi's voice, she never kind of goes to any extreme. Her voice doesn't sound strained. Her voice has a very beautiful tone to it in this song. So this is a good song. It's a light house track. It's definitely on the pop side of house. And according to what it looks like, I think this song was purchased by Disney Music Publishing. Now, I didn't know that Disney had a music publishing arm, but hearing that in my mind and thinking about the songs that people who have recently left Disney have released, like different child stars, I definitely see this as being something that would be a Disney star trying to do something a little funkier. I could see that sound for them. But I thought this was a really cute song. I hate that it's coming out so late in the summer, because I think if this song came out in the beginning of the summer, this could be really, really nice. Then next we have Los Angeles. Los Angeles. Los Angeles. I thought this song had the most potential on the entire album. It had a really dark vibe to start the song, but then she's talking about walking in the sunshine, and it's like, wow, this is very interesting that, like, you're already getting this conflicting concepts. And I think if we're talking about setting an eerie tone for a song, I think that Los Angeles is probably the more eerie of all the songs. One of the producers of this song also did Cherry Bomb for NCT. So I think this is also an older song. And I think if I could change anything about this song to make this song really pop, there is an EDM break after the first chorus, and then there's more EDM breaks throughout the song, and I would just throw them away. I don't think that the EDM breaks do anything for Solgi. I don't think the EDM breaks do anything for the song itself as a piece. I think that the style of EDM that's being used is an older style of EDM, and it's just, we're in house mode right now. Beyonce told us we're listening to house music, and so I think we need to move away from EDM and over into house. I think that even though I think this song had the most potential, I think that the EDM really drags it down and it makes Anywhere But Home sound a lot better. I'm gonna have to put in my other headphones real quick. Sorry, I don't want anybody to be concerned. If the sound cuts out, let me know, but I feel like these headphones are not working. I feel like they're not working. Can you hear me? Does it sound bad? It might. I don't know. It says I have 20 longer. Anyway, last we have Crown, which is the only other credit I saw for this production company was White T-shirt by Jonghyun, which Jonghyun White T-shirt came out a while ago, like a long time ago. So yeah, again, I feel like this is another old song. Sounds okay. Again, we're back with the dark vibes again. It's a little dark song. It's fine. I like the bridge on this song. It has kind of like a drum march sounding vocal to it, which I thought was really good. But the rest of the song is utterly forgettable. And that brings me back to what I feel about this album. I don't know if it's because aespa has been so incredibly popular recently, but I feel like SM is kind of done with Red Velvet. I think that they're currently in the mode of let's move Red Velvet into our legacy artist realm. Let's make Red Velvet kind of like an EXO or Shiny or TVXQ, where we're still releasing projects for them. They're still touring. We're still making a little bit of money together, but they're not our priority. Because this album to me feels like it is filled with songs that are at least 3, if not sometimes 7 or 8 years old. Like, this is an album full of cast off leftover songs. And if the songs aren't leftovers, then they're SM trying to experiment with new songwriting houses, like buying a song from Disney Music Publishing. Maybe they're like, well, we have to move away from Isu Mon's production group. Maybe we can start buying music publishing for SM ourselves. But there's nothing on this album that sounds in any way current. There's nothing on this album that sounds like something that a younger person would listen to. Like, even me as an older person, I'm telling you, this album sounds old to me. And I don't understand why SM would set Seulgi up like that. And I mean that sincerely. Like, this almost feels like a setup. Seulgi, in my opinion, is one of the strongest artists that SM has in terms of female all-rounders. I think she can sing. I know she can dance. And I think that overall, she's set up for success if given the right material. But this material, for me, feels very dated for her in terms of her age as an artist. Her age as a woman and her age as an artist. I think this is nothing on here is breaking new ground. Nothing on here is setting her up for distinction either. That's the other thing. I almost wonder if, and it could be that Seulgi wants this, and like I could be saying all this stuff, and actually Seulgi's like, no, this is my sound, this is what I want, this is what I like. But it's almost like they decided Seulgi is going to be the female Taemin. And so let's just try to set her up again as someone who does either really fun light tracks or really dark concepts, but nowhere in between. And I think that there's so much more she could do. I think that definitely selling her more in the house aspect of things could be a lot of fun. I think that giving her more R&B based stuff could be a lot of fun. Seulgi actually has some really nice runs on different Red Velvet songs, so I think she could absolutely do that. I mean, Kingdom Come for me was an eye opener when it came to Seulgi. I was like, oh wow, this bitch can sing. And so I don't know why we're not doing more of that for her. I would love to see her do something from the Underdogs. I would love to see her on a Teddy Riley produced track. I would love to see her working with anyone else. And again, I just really feel like SM is shooting themselves in the foot by not allowing their legacy artists to grow, by not allowing their legacy artists to do new sounds. But we were talking a few videos ago about like the future of SM. When I was talking about the new NCT album, I talked about the fact that SM is trying to continue to use Isuman's production team. That they have been using Isuman's production team for so long. Isuman's talking about retiring, selling SM, and they're like, well, we need to still have access to your production group. And I said then, like, what will SM do if they don't have Isuman doing the production? Because he is the SM sound. But I think with somebody like Seulgi, especially, and she's kind of got her foot in the past, but also a foot in the future. She would be a great person to start branching out into the new direction for SM. But I think they're kind of afraid to. Like, it's almost like they hired new songwriters to write stuff that sounds like the old things. And definitely the songs on here, they all feel kind of older. Again, we have a lot of European producers, we have a lot of producers that are Western producers. And one of the things that have always kind of harped on when it came to SM is SM doesn't do enough with homegrown entertainment. SM doesn't do enough with homegrown songwriters, homegrown producers. One of the strengths that YG has, even though I don't like to give YG enough credit, YG has really done a good job of bringing in Koreans to write music for Korea. And SM has done a horrible job at cultivating new Korean talent. Of course, you still have Kinsey, you still have some of the other ones who wrote a lot of the early second gen stuff for SM. But in terms of cultivating new Korean in-house producers, in-house songwriters, in-house lyricists, they're just not doing enough. And I think this album, when you look at the credits and you see all the Western names and you see how many DJs were involved in producing this album, it's very obvious that like this is old material. This is not super creative material. Like, yeah, this ain't it. And I hate talking about Sluggy like this because I have been trying to be I've been trying to give credit where credit is due. I've been trying to be positive where positive words need to be spoken. I think I was super positive during my Blackpink review. I think I had some really good words to say about NCT's vocal line. I still have issues with some of their noise music, but I gave a lot of credit to NCT's vocal line. Like, I really gave a fair shake to Key's Gasoline, but this is a high disappointment for me. And I think what makes it an even higher disappointment for me too is the fact that, we're talking one, two, three, four, five different versions of this album. I said six earlier. That was wrong. There's actually five. Five different versions of this album. At minimum, you're probably paying $20 a piece for these albums. So you're spending $100 with Sulgi to get recycled old material from her. And I'm not pleased with that. I'm not pleased with that at all. And I think this just speaks again, repeating the point. SM's creativity is diminishing. SM's kind of artistic direction is getting a little bit swallowed. SM is getting a little stale. And I was hoping that with the noise music that NCT does and kind of like the I don't know what you call it. I used to know the name of it, hyper pop, I guess, the kind of hyper pop direction they were taking with aespa. I was really, really excited to see what SM would give to some of their legacy artists. And I think the answer is nothing. Nathan, absolutely not. And that it makes me sad because despite how this album sounds, I still have a lot of faith in Sulgi as an artist. I still have a lot of faith in what she can do. I still have a lot of faith in what the next project will be. I don't think this is her fault. I think that SM tried to play safe with Sulgi. I think they tried to clear out the vault a little bit, but she deserves more. And one thing that SM, I feel like, has never done with any of their artists outside of maybe Jonghyun is they've never built a team around an artist to come up with material for their album. Like, I think it was different with Jonghyun because Jonghyun was writing his songs. So he's like, I have my team. We are making songs for my album. Everything is coming from scratch. But when it comes to a lot of their other artists, I think they're like, okay, well, we have these kinds of songs. Let's come up with the graphic design, the artistic concept, the video concept, and then we'll pick one of these songs and throw some Korean lyrics on it. I feel like that's what happens with SM with everybody else. I feel like it's backwards. Like they pick the songs to fit the concept rather than fitting the concept to the songs. And with Sogi especially, I think that's very obvious because I would like to know what any of what we saw in the 28 Reasons video had to do with 28 Reasons. Anything. I went to look at the English lyrics because I wanted to understand what the fuck is going on here. And when I looked at the English translation, again, what did the video have to do with the song? What did the teasers have to do with the song? Like, it's these miniature art pieces of like, we have a concept, but they're not making any investment in trying to make it work with the material. And that didn't used to be the case. SM didn't used to be like that. So I'm concerned. I am concerned, but I want to be clear. None of the criticism I have for this album has to do with Sulgi. None of it does. I am disappointed by the songs that were chosen. I'm disappointed with the musical direction of the album. I'm disappointed by some of the choices they made in terms of packaging, the little miniature CDs. But Sulgi herself is still a highly, highly respected artist by me. I still feel like she's got a lot of potential. I still am gonna buy whatever the next project is. Like, there's nothing about her that I'm like, oh, forget that lady. I don't like her. I still really like Solgi quite a bit, but this album is not it for me. And what's crazy and what makes me feel crazy for even having this conversation with you is before I decided to have this conversation, I went online and I'm like, let me see what other people are saying about this album. And everyone was like, this is so good. This is so great. We love this so much. This is such a stunning debut for Solgi. Fives across the board, tens across the board. Like, people were really into this album. And I was like, do I just not know how to hear? Like, is something wrong with me? Is it because I'm a plus 40-year-old woman that I just don't get it? But I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I think that critics are really loath to criticize K-pop the way that they would with other artists because fandoms are so intense and people are scared. I also feel like the people that review K-pop for a lot of major publications are K-pop fans, and so they write in like really rosy, flowery terms for K-pop because they want to encourage people to listen to K-pop, so they're not as critical as they could be. But I absolutely feel like this is a time when we don't need to sugarcoat things because the worst thing that could happen is that SM reads all this super flowery, lovely language about how great Solgi's debut is and then decides we need to keep going in this direction. That would break my heart. That would absolutely break my heart. And so I super hope that more people will be critical about K-pop, will review and talk about K-pop the way we talk about other pop artists on the scene. That way, K-pop will be encouraged to grow and to do better things. Do you want to know how you get a permission to dance? Because as you know, on my channel, I have to make sure I mention BTS in every single video. It's a theme. It's a signature of the channel. Do you want to know how you get a permission to dance? You get a permission to dance by telling BTS you can't lose. That's how that happens. There's no way that BTS would have released a permission to dance after the Greatest Moments in Life series. There's no fucking way. Because they would have been like, this is not like our other material. This is really kind of corny. If we release this, a lot of our fans will be confused. So maybe not. But because every fucking thing they were doing was going number one, because every major media outlet was like, everything you do is amazing, phenomenal, we love you, we would drink your bathwater, you're so funny. It was at a point where BTS couldn't lose. They could not lose. They could not do anything to diminish people's excitement for what they have to offer. And so they released a Permission to Dance. And it goes number one. And it sells like hotcakes. And they're like, oh, people must love this shit. And then they like, you know what? Maybe we jumped the gun here. Maybe this isn't as great as we're thinking it is. Because then they saw diminishing returns after that. Things are still going number one. Things are still selling, but they're not selling as much as they used to. This latest compilation album is not selling nearly the same way the albums before it did. I mean, it's definitely outselling the earliest albums, but the graph, if you will, was going up and then it's starting to slowly teeter down. And so, yeah, I definitely feel like I just want better for Red Velvet. I really want SM to start. They did that collaboration with Million Market and they were promoting a lot of artists on Million Market. Why aren't they diving into the productions at the Million Market? Why aren't they buying an indie label? Seriously, why isn't SM spending more money to figure out what the young kids are doing? Why aren't they? But anyway, thank you for watching. I know it's starting to get dark and everything. I know that my uploads are at a really weird time. I know I'm uploading in my car. I've already explained to you why that is and what for, but I appreciate you being here with me on this. And I know a lot of you were watching this and like, I don't agree with anything that bitch said. She is out of her mind. She just wants to be negative, nasty, and mean. You can believe that if you want to. But if you look at everything I've ever said about Red Velvet prior to everything I've ever said about Red Velvet prior to now, then you will know I am a fan. This is my biased girl group. Seriously, the only girl group I've ever loved more than Red Velvet is Sistar. This is my biased girl group, and I'm telling you now, this ain't it. This ain't it. See y'all later.